Check this out. Babies are producing. We have tomato trusses forming all over the place. Hopefully they'll ripen before I go on holiday, and so I'll be able to have some of it. Yum, yum, yum. Good morning. Ambitions are great today. Step one is going to be repotting the onions before they give up the ghost, potting on the California Wonder, and also the Trinidad perfume chili peppers. I planted 3 seeds and they're all alive and well. So that's one thing. I'll just show you that my aubergines are doing extremely well. As you can see, too many plants as usual, but I've decided I'm keeping one pot for the allotment. We've got 2 types. We've got Turkish orange and then we've got the Black Beauty. So I'll keep one of these lot for the allotment, one of these lot for home, and then all those others are going to be gifted away. And I've got more of them there, and I don't even know what type those are. I'll have to wait and see, and wait until they're a bit bigger to tell the difference between the two. But that's step one. Part 2 of my ambition is to tidy and prep for the coming growing season, and that involves trimming the hedge, cutting the grass, tidying. It's almost like summer went, and in the middle of summer disappearing, I stopped coming out into the garden. So we need a good prettying and tidying of the whole space. So, ooh, someone is awake already. Ooh, I hate bumblebees. Ooh. I don't know what he's looking for. There's nothing here. Go away. Ah. It's so silly. It's just because it's so big. I hope. Oh, he's going. He was hoping for flowers here, but there's nothing. Oh, there's another one there as well. Oh, go away. Okay. Okay, so yes, I think I'll start by pulling all the dead bits off of all the plants and putting them on the grass, because then I will be able to go over them with a lawnmower and create myself a beautiful mulch, which I will then take to the allotment to cover that area where I'm going to be putting mushrooms. So that's going to be my first lot of mulch. So cutting this will be a benefit and a bonus to me, and I'll get some of my grass bits which are in the compost, which are not breaking down, and put them on the floor as well and go over those as well. So I'll end up with loads and loads of mulch, which I can then take down and cover that space with whilst I wait to buy some proper one. But basically what I need to do is I need to make sure that my mushroom spores are in by the end of March, and then I think it will take about 6 months for me to know whether or not my plan has worked. So watch this space. We are going to be tackling all of this and sorting out and organizing, and we're going to start in this corner here, and then we're going to be working our way down there, around here, up into that corner there, going round. That's part of the jobs today, if you had a look at the introduction. And then we'll work our way around to this side. I'm using the recommended way of actually working, which requires that you start in one corner and work clockwise when you're cleaning the house. So we're going to do the same, except we're going to be cleaning this whole area. So I'm going to set you up somewhere where you can see, and then we'll get started. If I can even start, I need to get something I'm going to use as a bin collector in order that I can collect all the rubbish ready to put into the compost bins. So I think this is going to work perfectly. All the bits of plant that are still working are going into the grass, so that when I mow it, it can all go in there. Hello, morning, how are you? We got interrupted there. So I just need somewhere to put all my rubbish. As I was saying, and we'll go from there. All my tubs are full. I need a water bath because I don't like losing water now. So I'm going to use this bucket, and I think the sun is trying to come out in order to keep me company. So I'm going to go on speed mode because that's the way we work, isn't it? All right, this is before. I'm just taking a picture and then I'm putting on fast motion. Yes, we enjoy those, don't we? At least I do. I've just realized one big thing. Because the compost has been sat and continuously wet, overly wet because of my self-watering system, it's proving tougher to pull out than expected. So I'm going to just go in the back and see whether or not I can find my equivalent of a hurry and get it so that I can work a bit faster, because those 3 bags took me ages to empty because of the fact that it was so tough. So, but we will get there. We will get there. It's making me think about the fabric pots. I grew tomatoes in those small pots that you see, and the tomatoes grew all the way up. If you look at my I will actually try and create a video of my tomatoes of the summer, because I grew tomatoes and they were amazing. They covered this whole area. So, and they were in those tiny pots, but I'm considering whether or not I'm going to change up the pots and put bigger pots onto those systems there. And if they're going to be bigger pots, they're going to work slightly different to what I've currently got there. But that's all in my head right now. And really my focus today is clear, tidy. And so that's what I'm going to do. So rather than trying to clear the same place twice, I am going to make sure that I put the rubbish in the rubbish bin. I've brought my broom and dustpan. I've got my hurry so we can get going again and see how much quicker we move now. Time is 10:35. Question: can I achieve all of this clear and bag emptying in an hour? If I do, that would be brilliant, because that leaves me enough energy to then try and tackle the grass. I think I may leave the hedge a bit longer, but then if I tackle the grass, it allows me to do the bits and pieces I've taken out of the pots, to whiz them down and put them into the compost bag, which I've actually set up here. So that is going to be full by the end of play today, of that I'm sure. And I don't want to overwork myself to the point of pain. Yesterday's work left me a little bit achy. Check out that video. I'll be putting it up hopefully by the end of play today. So that'll be my Sunday grafting. So yeah, so I don't want to end up aching, because I'm already aching a tiny little bit, and I want to maintain a good level of ache without it getting to the point where I'm barely able to move without paracetamol on board. So let's see how far we get today. Come on up. 10:55. I think we started at 10:35 if I remember correctly. So 20 minutes in, we're doing pretty decent. And I've learned a lesson. I've got some very large fabric pots. I was grouching, sorry, wait for the car. I was grouching and complaining when I was trying to fill them with compost, but they've proved one thing to me. They are brilliant for large rooted plants. As you saw me doing just now, I was clearing a pot in which I had baby corn. And these pots are excellent for great rooting systems. Let me see if I can show you. Check out how many roots are stuck to the bottom, but the inside is so clumped with a lot of roots, so I can't clear it. And yet the tomato plants, which are just behind here, let me pull this out of the way. Okay, yeah. So I had aubergine, peppers, and tomato plant in there. Tomato plant in that little one there, well, in the same size one. And I've just pulled everything out. Everything is breaking down beautifully. There's place for everything to breathe. So I think going forward, I need to try and make sure that all my systems use the same size container and not smaller, because otherwise the fight is real. So for these ones like this, better to use them for shallow rooted plants like your veg, say your, I think onions should be fine in here. Onions, lettuce, pak choy. Don't do brassicas in these small ones because they don't work. I think this is like a 5-gallon, or is it a 4-gallon? I think it's like a 5-gallon. It doesn't work. If you're going for fabric pots, you need bigger. But another thing I'm planning to do this year is the home garden is not going to be so chocker with plants as it was last year. I'll try and see if I can find a picture and put it in to show you what it looked like, because it looked beautiful, but it was overwhelming. By the end of summer, I was just overwhelmed. I just didn't know what to do. I'll just look at everything and just feel tired. But this year I'm going to go for the square foot gardening system, but in pots. So I'll need to make sure I measure all my pots, identify how many crops I should be putting in each, so that each plant has the space to grow. And although we'll have profuse green once again, it will not be so overwhelming that one feels, I used to love it. I used to come and just sit here to stare at it, but it was a lot of work. And even harvesting became a challenge because everything was so overcrowded. So we shall see how well we do this year. But definitely I am loving these pots, loving them immensely. So I'll put one on that blue tub here. So I'll need to get what I think I have a spare one somewhere, so I'll use a blue tub for that. And I will also look at the ones over there in a minute, because we're moving that way now, aren't we? We've finished this corner here. Everything was swept up. It looks like there's a lot of rubbish there, but it will soon be cleared. It's just because I'm using it to organize my rubbish, my sticks that are going to need probably a chipper once I've got one, to break them down because they're a little bit too tough. And we're going to go from there. So let's carry on. Bring you closer. All my strawberries have been decimated by grubs, so I'll need to buy some special type of soil which has the right bacteria to make sure those pots are emptied of the grubs. I don't know whether or not all my other ones are going to be affected as well, because I had some in here, but I know my strawberries haven't been happy because the pot system I've chosen is not necessarily working for them, but we shall see whether or not they are ruined. The other thing I really want to do is, that there is a fig tree. I want to move it from where it is and set it up somewhere in there this summer, but obviously not today. Today is just about clearing all the bits that make this place look rubbishy, and then I will move that another day. But it's starting to bud, so it needs to have manure put on top so that that manure can feed down. but I know I put a lot of manure in when I was putting it in that pot there, so it should be fine. I don't know whether or not it's okay to keep fig trees in pots, so I'll need to investigate it. It's just there, that's the one there, and then in that corner there, those are raspberries, that one and that one, but they are going to be moved so that they're more easily accessible during the growing season. I put them in pots because I don't want them spreading, but I might move them to the other side of the garden, I think, but where they are is not working, so that's another thing that will have to be sorted out, but that's not for today. I'm just making a record so I know what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to carry on. Time now is 11:16. I might just about make it taking off all the rubbish and putting it into the lawn, but the full tidy may not all happen today, and I'm being realistic now because I also need to rest. I am aching already, but I'm happy with the difference this little bit of tidying has done. Let's carry on. Rather than cheat the clock, we're at 11:28, so that's 1 hour, and in 1 hour we've managed to clear quite a bit. Everything is looking so much better. We will get back to the further view in a minute, but I'm happy. It's all looking much better already. I'm continuing to clear. We've got a tiny bit to go there, and then we'll be done. In there I've got a blueberry plant, and that seems to be doing okay. It's actually got a couple of strawberries that don't appear to have been attacked either, but I've got bugs in every pot, but that's the norm. Last year I had them in my strawberries again. Yeah, so it's an every year thing. So what I'll do to get around it, rather than worry about it, I'll just buy a few strawberries every year and I'll budget for them and get new plants each year, because I can't do anything about it. Well, I can, but rather than stressing, if I have any left, they'll produce new babies, which I'll probably try and protect for next year. The question is whether or not these bugs will fly off, or whether they just lay more eggs in the same soil. Good question. Anyway, let's carry on. And I'm already thinking, I've got peas that need potting up. Instead of putting them into another pot, why not just put them direct into one of these containers? Anyone know a reason why? And then I can put a net up on the fence and they can grow up there for the summer, and they'll be growing and harvested before the tomatoes take root. So that's the plan. Let's carry on cleaning and tidying. I'm a little bit excited because I was looking for the pot that goes on top of that there, and guess what I worked out? I worked out that these new pots that I got from Home Bargain fit perfectly. They are bigger and therefore they can carry a much bigger plant. So what does Stella think she might do? She might take the other pots off and put them elsewhere if needs be, and use a bigger pot for some plants. So what I'll do is I'll have a small pot for a smaller plant, and then in between I can do another big pot here so that the bigger plant can grow taller without encroaching on the space for the smaller plants. But that's for later. Sorry, I just got excited and I had to share. Right, back to work. Okay, we are getting there. It's looking much better, more tidy than it was before. And what I need to do next is, because I'm that way inclined, I need to have a look at what's in front of me and decide how to organize these in order that I've got proper space for each pot with room for me to move and meander in between the pots, so that when it comes to the growing season, I will have a good system for managing what's before me. What I've also realized is my pots, which I got from Home Base, these black pots here, which I created self-watering systems into, work really well. They're a good size. The soil in there is lovely, crumbly, and very good quality. So the tomatoes I grew in there, in those 2 pots there, that soil is okay as well. So that size pot works for, I think that's a 7-gallon pot. So probably what I'll try and do is I'll try and see if I can get an 8 or 9-gallon to sit on top of those self-watering systems for tomatoes. So I go slightly bigger. I'm going to get rid of all small self-watering system pots, I mean fabric pots, because they don't work. But the way I'll use them is I'll use them to actually gift plants to people, so that if someone wants to use them for something smaller, then they can. Or I might use them for the flower seeds I bought if I ever get around to seeding those. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move you backwards. Small wins are key in not losing the will to live and not over-exhausting myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish tidying this space. I've decided I'm going to stop on this 1/2 of the space I'm working with, so that I can go indoors and rest, have a cup of tea, and then think whether or not I'm going to do any more today, because it's not necessary for me to do a lot every single time. I might pot up my peppers, which are sitting indoors at the moment, so I might create work for myself later by potting those guys up. I will not go and buy the compost today, because if I buy compost, it means I have to carry compost, which means hard work. So let's see how much more I can get done today. But for today, this is a lot. And okay, we're back to where we started. And as you can see, it looks much better. I'm just taking a few pictures of after. I've still got my greenhouse area to tidy up. I don't know if I have the energy to do it now or to do it another day. My ideal is to finish this area here. So I might take out the mower just to do this side of the grass, in order that that whole space will look beautiful, tidy, and yummy. That's what I want. And so probably that's what I'll end up doing, knowing myself. But probably I should go in and have a cup of tea and then come back. What do you think? It's 12 o'clock. I could go in, get a cup of tea and some breakfast, because I have not eaten yet, and then come back out. Yeah, that's a good idea. Don't know why I don't do things like that. I just don't think to stop. I start and then I'm like, okay, I just need to do it. And so I just keep going until I run out of energy. And then I haven't even finished clearing and I'm tired and I'm knackered and I'm feeling awful. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to stop, eat, come back out and make a decision on what I do next and what I leave. But the definite thing is I need to clear this area of all the rubbish I've put there. It's unacceptable. So let me go in. As you see, I haven't actually stopped because it's bugging me. I am liking it organized as it is. I think less is more, and unfortunately I'm not comfortable with less is more, so I keep trying to chop and change it, but the truth of the matter is less is more. So some of those pots are going to have to find new homes elsewhere. I might create another small garden patch, but at the moment less is more, and it looks much nicer, and when everything is green it will look better. So I really need to go in and eat now because it's 12:22 and I did not stop as I said, so I'm going in now. I'm not touching anything else until I come back out. Hopefully I'll be more inspired, and therefore I'll be able to finish that, get the mower out, tidy that section of the grass, and probably try and get some of the Christmas tree mowed up as well. Actually, no, I'm going to buy a chipper. I'll buy a small chipper and I'll use it, and that should do the trick. All right, let's do it. Looking much better now already, as you can see, and I think I'm going to use blocks along there to create another little space to separate out some of the pots from there. So we'll do a definite plan is less is more. We will grow, but now we have an allotment, so there's no use in overcrowding the garden, which is also our sitting area, to a point where we can't use it. And then I've just noticed that there's an area I missed by that, those pots there, just there. The grass there needs cutting around there, and then I'll take it as far as I can this way, and I think I'll be done. I've achieved more than I set out to, and that is good. I need some pallets to create nice covers for my compost bins so they can sit one on top of the other. When I fill one, cover it, fill it up. This compost bin here is going to sit there because the grass there never grows anyway, so I'm going to leave it sitting there. And the plan is I'll fill it up with any more waste I have, and when it's full I'll leave it for a whole year. I will not touch it, and by the end of that year it will be ready for emptying and reusing. I'm also going to use it for my bokashi when my other bins are full, so I've still got to put up my bokashi composting video, but that's something else that needs doing. But for now I'm going to carry on until I'm told that the meal is ready, and then I'll go in, and that's when I'll stop and just tidy and clear, and then the afternoon is for rest and relaxation. But ultimately we have achieved a lot, considering I didn't expect to achieve this much. So I'm pretty pleased, and I'm content that I've done enough for the day. It's interesting that that time-lapse thing breaks what is a long period of hard work into just small minuscule 30-second batches, but no one wants to see someone just going up and down for hours on end, standing, looking, thinking. So that works pretty well. Let's see how much more we can do before I have to go in and eat. That a small job is never a small job with me. I went in for about 15 minutes, had a leftover steak because the food wasn't ready yet, and then a banana, some nuts, and then I'm back out. But after this I am really and truly going. I've not been in since this bit I've been doing, which is moving the table and all that. Why? Because I'll go in. I've got 1 more hour. I said I'll be done by 3:30 with the garden, so I have to be done very soon. So, and then I'll show you, and then I'll be out. So let's get on, finish this section really quickly. It's a lot tidier, much nicer, not so soul destroying when you look at it. And that's what we like in a garden. It doesn't have to be perfect. People live here, and unless you have all the time in the world, you do not work and just spend all your time at home, then maybe you do have time to maintain a pristine garden. But when you consider the fact that in this country you do everything unless you have the money to pay for people to do things for you, it is tough work. So next Monday, if the weather allows, the aim will be to focus on getting the hedge done and to look at the budget and see whether or not we can buy a chipper. I've just put a whole lot of the sticks that I thought I'd be able to get sorted out with my mower in a container, because they're too hard for the mower to break down. So we have to work with what we have, and hopefully we'll get a chipper so all this can be chipped. And I'm thinking that along the hedge, where the hedge is there, I'm planning to put a bit of wood chip down, because the grass never grows, but I end up with a lot of weeds. I'd rather not have weeds, so we need to sort that out. But for today, let me finish quickly so I can go in, rest and relax, and all I'll have left to do will be that corner there. So that corner is not going to get done today. I'm making that decision, because even if my aim is always for perfection, perfection is overrated and it's the enemy of good enough. So let's see what we can get done in the time we have left. Okay, we are looking absolutely beautiful, aren't we? Look at that. Huh? Isn't that gorgeous? Much better if I'm stepping out the door. That needs a bit of work, but we'll manage. And this is the view, final view from this point. That area still needs work, but at the moment it's a storage place. But you know what? That is the focus. That's where we sit for our early morning sunshine, which is good for your circadian rhythm. So we normally sit there and get a bit of sun at 6 o'clock in the morning in the summer. So I think we can call today a day. The only other thing I am going to do, sorry, I'm knocking you because I'm on a stand, is I'm going to get those peas and put them into one of these pots in order that they can start living a better life. Because at the moment, I don't know if you can see them because it's quite far away. I don't know why I'm just zooming in. They're struggling a little bit. So do I do it before I go in or not? How long is it going to take? Do you know what? Let's get it done. Stopping now. I really am stopping. I've put these guys in really quickly. If they fail, I've got hundreds more, so let's see what they will do. It's a pity that I don't have. I might think about getting little mini greenhouses on them, a bit like this. So if they look like they're being eaten, I'll just get my bottles. I've been saving plastic bottles, and I'll put them over the top like that, and that will provide them with a bit of protection from the snails and slugs whilst they continue to grow. All right, time to go in and eat some lunch. It is 14:25, so I've achieved target by finishing before 3, because in my list of to-dos I said finish before 3:30. I've given the remaining peas, which are still sat up there, where are they? There. I've given them a bit of water and left them in there, but it's so nice to see something green in the pots. Right, time to tidy and go in. Hello, I still haven't eaten, but I'm inside at least. But guess what I just received from one of my neighbors who saw my tomato garden last year. And so it's very hard to tell someone who is being told they can't grow in the garden because their other half would prefer to have flowers, that you will not try and grow such beauties. So it looks like the decision on what my tomatoes for this year are going to be has been made. If these grow, they're the ones I'm going to grow. They came from Poland, and these look, I think the big ones I need to sow by the end of play today. Simple reason being they take a long time to grow. And then these are the ones I can sow a little bit later, because this one and that one I can sow a little bit later because they don't take as long to grow. I need to take into consideration of whether or not I'll have space to put these guys and how they'll be looked after in my absence. But by the end of this week, maybe they'll be sown. I'm looking forward to trying them and seeing whether or not they are nice. But free seeds, would you say no?